Hi, welcome everybody. I'm super excited to be back here today with Sönke Albers. And today we're taking a look at a really exciting article that he had that just came out called Optimal Rules for Advertising Budget Allocation Across Movie Versions Marketed in Sequential Distribution Stages. So thanks so much for being on, Sönke. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you very much for this invitation. I'm looking very much forward.
awesome. Yeah. So for people who may not have seen your paper or read your article yet, could you kind of give us a quick summary of what it is that you're investigating with this article?
Yeah, as the title suggests, I'm dealing with budget allocation. And what you normally have as a solution is that you allocate budgets across products uh, proportionally to the expected sales size
Hmm.
multiplied by gross margin and multiplied by the elasticity. And the elasticity is in marketing the leverage effect of advertising on sales, and it is measured by the percentage of the sales increase that you can achieve by increasing advertising by 1%. So that's the elasticity. And and that's the normal solution. Here, if you have sequentially uh, distributed products, then you have a much more complicated problem because you have the
Mm,
carryover effects and spillover effects between the sequences or the stages, I would say, of the marketing of the product. And
right.
so you have to incorporate these carryover effects and spillover effects into the solution. And that makes it a little bit difficult. And for that, I developed uh, an allocation solution that could be, it is a near optimal solution, so it can be easily applied by managers who want to not to guess out of their gut, but wanted to be supported by something like an algorithm for determining the budget.
Yeah, that's super cool. So just to put it in context for people, so we're looking at situations where you might have a movie where they know they're going to have a series of like two or three movies coming out, like, Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3. And the idea is to account for the fact that the brand is going to live on throughout those multiple movies and take that into account when they're marketing the first and then second movie. Is that right?
Yeah, that's a problem. In a movie, you see, you start with a theater, displaying the movie in the theater, and the most important week is the very first week when the
Hmm.
when the movie is shown for the first time, and people can really evaluate the quality of this movie, and then over the next weeks they still have to advertise the movie that it is there and can be
Hmm.
watched in a theater. And after that, they want to sell uh, physically, maybe DVDs or Blu-ray
Right.
versions, and after that, electronically via video demand,
Hmm.
and in the very end, it maybe land in a streaming service, something like that. And,
Right.
and
Yeah.
these are sequential stages. And even for books, you have the hardcover book and then the other versions of books that are introduced later on. And
Very true. Yeah.
and of course, you can rely then on the advertising for the very first version. And that
Right.
makes the
Yeah.
carryover effect,
Yeah.
or some people call it spillover because it's a new version and therefore it's not a true carryover effect, but it's a mixture of carryover and spillover effect.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. So, yeah, is there a sort of a simple way to describe the outcome that you've got? I'm guessing that they want to spend more at the beginning versus at the end. Is that right? Or
Yeah, that's more or less the idea. If you have carryover effects, then it's clear that you should spend more in the beginning, and then you can live on that advertising over the next sequences or stages of the product introduction.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. Excellent. So I guess it's the implications are quite clear in some ways for advertisers, right? They should be, taking this into account. And if they are advertising something that is, going to have one of these sequential products, right? They want to do this and front load the advertising and advertise more at the beginning.
Yeah.
Any other sort of insights or, takeaways you think are important to highlight for advertisers, or is that the main one?
Yeah, you see, of course, you can have some more general insights, but the other thing is that I provide a solution that is very easily implemented because it's a formula that you can just put into Excel and then do some very few computations, and then you have a solution. And this can give you some idea what's going on there, and then you get a solution. And in addition, if you want to be supported by such a system, you really have to think about what are your leverage effects measured by
Hmm.
elasticities. Yeah, what is the effect? And I found often in companies that they do not have a good idea of what the elasticity is in terms of numbers. Yeah. And if you are more or less forced to think about the the level of the elasticity, then this already means that they are much closer to a good solution than uh, not knowing their elasticities.
Yeah, definitely. What sort of like just at a rough level to guess, like what percentage of savings do you think or extra benefit would an advertiser get from applying the formula that you've got? Would they get 10% better results, 30% better results on average, or is it difficult to say?
Um, Of course, it depends on the problem. And you see, if you have a potential blockbuster, even a few percent would mean a large amount of money.
Definitely. Yeah.
While for the bread and butter movies, yeah, uh, you need to achieve higher improvements or so. It's difficult. I'm currently in contact with a company, and what they want to do is uh, they want to cluster their movies into groups that have more or less the same leverage effect.
Hmm.
And it's clear that blockbusters have different leverage effects than the more normal movies that are shown in theaters and so on. So there are differences, and this company wants to know more about that, and then they can think more in terms of what they should do for those movies and for others.
Ah, very cool. Yeah. All right, so very neat article. And again, I love the taking a look at this, very real world application as well. Can you tell us a bit more about where the idea came for this? Like what sparked your interest in this particular
Yeah,
topic? Yeah.
the idea came to me because I was already working in this area of allocation, mostly for many years, mostly for pharmaceutical companies,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
you see they have lots of marketing budgets, high marketing
Yeah.
budgets, and they are accustomed to apply a little bit science to all kinds of stuff in marketing. And in their field, the detailing if effort, that means what the sales force is doing, is important. But what the sales force is doing is more or less, I would say, personalized advertising.
Yeah.
And therefore, this is close. And then I came into a contact with some movie companies and also um, also I was part of a funded research group in Germany that dealt with the marketing of entertainment products in
Oh,
general.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and then yeah, I saw an article in Journal of Advertising Research published
there we
in
go.
2018 providing a solution to this problem of budgets allocated to sequential distribution stages. And when I looked at the article, I found it was not correct, because the people there applied an objective function that uses logarithms, because my thought was, okay, they estimated the response function for the leverage effect as a log-log function, which is what we do normally in marketing. And therefore, because it can easily be estimated, and it was a linear regression, and then they stayed with their logarithms in their objective, which does not make sense, because we do not want to optimize the logarithms, but money, yeah, real
Right.
money.
Yeah.
And therefore, and then I looked at the structure of their solution, and the solution is they only wanted to allocate the money proportional to the elasticities, and not also proportionally to the expected sales size.
Oh, interesting.
This makes no sense, because of course the first stage, showing it in theater, is much larger than maybe in the other stages, and therefore it makes a difference whether you take into account the sales size effect too. And therefore I thought, okay, as I was in contact with movie companies, with studios, and also in this funded research group, I thought, okay, it needs to be corrected.
Yeah, that's really
And
important, and I think it's super powerful when you see stuff, and you can build on it and improve it as well too. It's so important for the field.
yeah. But you see, and in the very first phase, the editors were not so much keen in getting such an article, because you see, correcting something else is not something that you really like to have, and
Yeah.
therefore they challenged me, and I found it very helpful. They challenged me, okay, please provide more information on how to apply the whole thing. How do you get appropriate data? How can you estimate leverage effects? What can you do then with the data? Can you apply it sequentially, or do you have to come up with a solution for the whole thing at the very beginning? And things like that. And I found that very helpful.
That's
And they
good.
also
Yeah.
asked me to show the improvement against this other solution as a percentage, and that was something like 25% or so. So it was something of concern, and that has improved the article very much. So yes, I appreciate it very much working with your editorial team.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it's always, I mean, I've experienced that as well too, right? Where the reviewers can seem very frustrating sometimes, but then at the end I look at it, I'm like, oh, that actually made it better, you know? So
Yeah,
it's
that's right.
good.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but any other challenges you experienced while going through and coming up with the paper initially,
And
or
yeah,
working through the
the
review
other challenge
process,
was
or yeah.
okay, the article which I wanted to correct worked only with 3 stages. Yeah, the first week in
Hmm.
theaters, the additional weeks after that in theaters, and DVDs. And of course, nowadays we have a longer uh,
Right. Yeah.
sequence of ways introducing products for different ways of consumption. And therefore, the question was, is the solution that I provided extendable to any number of sequential stages?
Mm.
And that was a challenge, of course, and it's even more than the original article had in mind. And so I reformulated the problem a little bit different, very tiny difference. And then the whole problem became a cascading structure.
Oh,
And
cool.
by
Huh.
cascading structure, it implies that you can cascade the solution. And even if you have a new stage, then the cascade is only a little bit longer. So I can the solution is generalizable to any number of sequential stages, and this is also a good further achievement.
Oh, very cool. That's amazing. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
on that note, where to next, right? What other areas of research to further extend your article, or other sort of facets or parts of this topic that you think would be interesting for yourself or for other researchers to explore?
Yeah, of course. I think it's important that you think about this solution, and I hope it will complement the whole budget allocation area where you deal, of course, with different problems and so on. But I think it's more general because it is not only across products, but it is also across stages, and it is extendable to any number of stages. Of course, if you then want to implement the whole thing, then you need to specify which kind of media you want to really use. And
Hmm.
then the question is, can be allocated across different media for which we have already algorithms that were already. I refer to an article by Zufrieden from 1976. So it's an old problem for which we have some solutions. The only thing that is new nowadays is social media, because in social media you pay a
Hmm.
certain amount for getting media attention, hoping that this will lead to earned media
Hmm.
attention. And so the question is, how do we have a response
Yeah.
function that relates both to each other, so that I know if I seed some money into social media, will it spill over and will it create earned media attention? That is also not really solved so far, and I'm also
Yeah.
trying to work on that because you see nowadays everything goes through social media, and therefore it's very important.
Yeah. And that would be very interesting to look at for future research for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on and telling us more about your articles, Sönke. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much for having had the opportunity to talk about that.
Of course, yeah, yeah. And for those who are interested, again, it just came out in the September issue of the Journal of Advertising Research for 2025. And again,
Yeah.
it's called Optimal Rules for Advertising Budget Allocation Across Movie Versions Marketed in Sequential Distribution Stages. But as we talked about, it applies to a lot of different products beyond just movies. So thank you again, Sönke. Really appreciate it,
Yeah.
and hopefully
Yeah.
we'll have more great articles coming in from you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Colin, for having provided the opportunity.